Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Super Lunch Bros Podcast, episode number 137. I am Brendan. Talk about UFC Fight Night, Volkov versus Rosenstruck prelims, UFC Vegas 56 prelims. Okay, if you're looking for the main card, especially the main fight, that's in the last video. Go ahead and check that one out, and then come back here if you want to watch this one first. That's fine too. I appreciate it. If you are here to watch prelims, that means you are a hardcore MMA fan, and you will like everything that I post, I promise, because if you like these videos, you're going to like everything. All right, so subscribe to the channel. That way you'll see all the videos that I'm posting. You'll see when I post. I post 2 or 3 videos a week. Most of the time, I'm covering UFC, Bellator, Eagle FC, ONE FC sometimes, all kinds of MMA. I cover it here. I go over fight by fight, mainly the main cards, but on the UFC, I do prelims as well. All right, let's get started on those prelims for UFC Fight Night 56. So, Felice Herrig taking on Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Not getting it done. Kowalkiewicz getting the win here. She's getting the submission, her first finish, I think, in the UFC, actually. A submission win in the second round via rear naked choke. And Felice Herrig retiring. So, first round, Karolina was a better striker, obviously. But she's also leading the grappling exchanges, so Felice wasn't really offering anything better. She wasn't doing anything better than Karolina was. She was just getting beat in every aspect of MMA. Okay, it wasn't a blowout, but Felice really needed to either get some control time or land heavier shots to make up for the just sheer amount of offense Kowalkiewicz was putting out. If you want to look here in that first round, 30-48 in favor of Kowalkiewicz. Kind of plays out exactly how I'm talking. And then in the second round here, Felice was finally landing some heavier shots. Even though she's taken a few shots to get in range, and, she did get outstruck. But that some of those strikes did come when, she was on her back. It's just, she was doing a better job in this round, landing some bigger shots of her own, and kind of keeping up with Karolina a little bit better here. See, the striking differential was only 9 strikes, and I think that Herrig landed as good, if not better, strikes than Kowalkiewicz did in this round. But it ends up going to the ground, because Felice went for a takedown. Karolina reversed the takedown, got the back, and got the finish with the rear naked choke. So, good win for Karolina. It's good to see her back on a winning track. I think she had 4 losses in a row, 5 losses in a row against Andrade, Waterson, Grasso, Xiaonan, and Penne. Oh, my God. 5 losses in a row and still in the UFC somehow. And this is one of the deeper divisions in the UFC. She just somehow managed to stick around. Good for her getting back on the winning track. So I think this is the right time for Felice to call it quits. I think that's the right move. She just can't compete anymore. The game has moved past her. She's been fighting for 20 years. She's not a bad fighter necessarily. But, if you look at her record in the UFC, this is her 4th loss in a row. Starting back in 2014, off the Ultimate Fighter season 19 or whatever that was. She didn't fight for a title on that card because she wasn't the winner of the Ultimate Fighter. She didn't earn the spot on the Ultimate Fighter to fight for the title there. But she ended up losing to Paige Van Zandt. Okay, back in 2015. Who loses to Paige Van Zandt? That's baloney. Anyway, this was when Paige Van Zandt was semi-good compared to the competition, and she just never advanced. She gets a win over Kaylin Curran, Alexa Grasso, which is a great win, by the way. Justine Kish, who's no longer in the UFC, but did just have a decent fight and a decent win in Bellator. Courtney Casey, that's a good win. Courtney Casey has her ups and downs. She's a 50-50 fighter. And then she had the loss to Karolina way back in 2018, a loss to Michelle Waterson. That's not bad. Waterson was, sniffing a title shot for a while. Virna Jandiroba, again, that's a top 5 fighter in this division at this point. Top 10 for sure. And then Karolina Kowalkiewicz. So she just clearly can't hang with these modern style fighters, even though they might have been fighting for as long as she has. She's just not able to keep up. And I think it's a good time for her to retire. before she takes too much damage. She said it herself. She didn't really feel the same. She didn't feel the excitement. She didn't feel like she wanted to be there. And that's always a good sign that you need to hang it up. So I don't necessarily think she's going to for sure be done. That's for a for sure thing. I have no idea. Okay, because there's no way to know if she's going to be officially done. Maybe they bring her back for one more fight because she does have a little bit of name recognition, and she has a decent following as far as social media goes. So people might be interested in seeing her take on someone else in the UFC. But most likely she's done, and I think that's the right move. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about some controversy, shall we? Because I do not agree with this even a little bit. All right. Okay, so this fight was very weird. There's actually two bad calls on the prelims here, and the reason I don't agree with it isn't that the right guy lost this fight, or the right guy lost this fight or anything like that. It's the judging was so bad, and of course it was Saul D'Amato, always. Like I a couple weeks ago I said I agreed with him on one of them because he doesn't always get it wrong, but this had the 1-2 punch of Adelaide Bird and Saul D'Amato on it, and I think I think Derek Cleary and Adelaide Bird are right. Oh crud! I didn't pull that up for you guys. I'm sorry. Adelaide Bird and Derek Cleary scoring at 28-28 and 27-28 respectively. For a tie, obviously, and then in favor of Joe Solecki, who did get the win. So regardless of Saul D'Amato getting the actual numbers wrong here, because he did, I think he picked the right person to win, so the right person gets the win here. It's just his incompetency. It's not just him. It's judging in general. There's a very lack of understanding of what's going on in there and how things should be judged. So let's talk about this round by round here. Silva dropped him with a left hook 10 seconds into the round and then spent the rest of the round laying on top and defending a tight guillotine at one point, but really nothing else happened. So Silva did more damage. That should be the end of it. But if it's not, cool, he had a grappling. He was on top, and he only really fought off a guillotine, so he had a ton of control and wasn't really in danger of being finished himself. So clear win for him, 10-9 in favor of De Silva. Silva was putting his toes in the cage in the second round over and over again. Got like 6 fucking warnings. And then finally, he took a point from him while they were still in position. So he was defending a rear naked choke the entire time. And he was pulling on gloves, sticking his fingers in the gloves, putting his toes in the cage. And if you look at the control time here, 4 minutes and 40 seconds. Okay? So Solecki in the first, I'm going to make an argument here for a 10-8 round. And the reason being that the first round wasn't a 10-8 in favor of Silva is that Silva was never in position to finish the fight. And Solecki did throw up that guillotine submission that was relatively tight. So, it was a closer round, definitely not a 10-8. In this round, 31 total strikes, pity pat shots kind of because he's on his back and he's got the body triangle in. He had 4 minutes and 40 seconds. That means there was only 20 seconds of this entire round that was contested that Solecki did not have total control over Silva. And of those 4 minutes and 40 seconds, probably about 2 minutes of them were submission attempts, a couple of which got pretty close. And there was 0 damage coming back. So Silva landed 1 shot and then a couple pity pats from, throwing him behind him. Now, if you look at this could easily be a 10-8 round in favor of Solecki before the point deduction. Then De Silva gets the point deduction, and now we're looking at a 10-7 round. Okay? So, I had it 19-17 in favor of Solecki. Okay? 19-17. But in this third round, this is the key here. Silva, I can break it down, but Silva landed the better shots in that round. He had top control time. Look. See, De Silva has the control time in this last round. He landed more significant strikes. I felt like he landed the bigger shots and he did more damage in this last round. Okay? And even if they're even, but let's say they are even on damage, okay? Because that's pretty close, 28 to 27, all right, in favor of Silva. So, 1 strike differential there. He was the one who was in a dominant position. That last round was for Silva. So either it's a tie, because you didn't give that second round a 10-8 before the point deduction, or you give it a 10-8 before the point deduction like Derek clearly did here, and it's a 27-28, which is what I had it. Or you're an idiot and you give that last round to Solecki as well. I understand it looks close on the striking numbers here, but watch it live or watch it back again. It was not close. I know nobody's going to do that because it's on the prelims. Nobody cares. I get it. And this is going to fly under the radar. No one's going to give a shit because the right guy got the win. I say it every time, but these judges get away with fucking murder as long as they get the right guy the win here because they're just incompetent. They're not paying attention. Okay. Damon Jackson getting the win here. Rightfully so, I believe. First round, there was no strikes in that first round. No significant strikes. I was going to say, there was definitely striking going on in that first round. Damon Jackson got the takedown almost immediately, right? And he's on the back for 4 minutes of the round. Then Dan got out of, Damon Jackson versus Dan Argueta. Did I say Archuleta? It's not. Jackson was on the back for 4 minutes of the round, like I said, and then Dan got out of it, got on top, and looking at Jackson's face after the round, Dan landed something at some point because there was, Jackson had a little mouse under his eye, so he landed something at some point. And it said he landed 33 of 35 little shots from when he had his back taken. So, I mean, that's a stupid round, but whatever. It was clearly Jackson's round, 10-9. Same thing as the first round here in the second round. He had where Jackson had 4 minutes of control time, but then when he got up, he didn't get back into a grappling exchange, and then Dan was able to land some damage. I still think Jackson won that second round too. In the third round, Jackson looked so freaking sloppy tired, but he's up 2 rounds in my opinion. So all he has to do is coast. And, he was dog-ass tired. He was throwing sloppy shots. It looked like sloppy drunk fighting. It was so bad. And then he kind of gets his wits about him, gets a little bit of cardio back, going for takedowns. And, it was just straight heart in that third round. You could even give that third round to Jackson. So I'm not mad at Anthony Manez over here, or Anthony Manez, and Chris Lee, both giving 30-27 in favor of Jackson. Mike Bell is the one who I did agree with, though. I felt like maybe that last round could have gone to Dan. Okay, that's what I had. I said bare minimum it's a 29-28 in favor of Jackson. So, also in that last round, Jackson was on top and Dan was on his back. The corners were talking shit to each other, and it was hilarious because Jackson's corner was saying to the other corner, it's like, man, you guys are talking a lot of shit for someone who's been on his back for most of the fight. Which is funny, too, because, they're talking shit, saying, oh, he just wants a boring win. Oh, he doesn't want this. And then the other guys are like, you guys are talking a lot of shit. Your fighter has been on his ass the entire fight, so why don't you shut up? Oh, man. This is a good one. Nicholas Stolze versus Benoit Saint-Denis. Or Benoit, Benoit Saint-Denis. Benoit? No, it's Benoit Saint-Denis. Benoit took a knee in the initial takedown attempt in the very first round. He tried to go for a takedown and got kneed for his troubles, but still managed to get the takedown. Got on top. Lots of control time, 4 minutes and 34 seconds. Going for rear naked chokes. Doing enough ground and pound, I felt like just doing enough damage. I felt that he did win that first round because he had so much. He was so dominant. in that one. You know, he was actively looking for the finish. He was close to it at the very end. He had a super tight rear naked choke in right under the neck, squeezing hard. And if, there was more time on the clock, blah, blah, blah. I also don't like when they say saved by the bell, because the fighters are aware, right? They have the ability to be aware of how much time is left, okay? So if something happens in the last couple seconds and they say, oh, saved by the bell, maybe the fighter knew the bell was coming, therefore he held out, right? The position that he was in, he wasn't necessarily fighting it the way he would. He's trying to conserve a little bit of energy. Maybe he got into an exchange that he normally wouldn't in the middle or the start of a round, because he knows you're on short time. Therefore, I can count on that happening. So you're not saved by the bell necessarily. You are aware of the end of the round, and therefore, using that it's part of your strategy, either to your advantage or your detriment at sometimes. And then in the second round, there was some striking going back and forth, and Stolze looked like he was the better striker and he could hit harder, but St. Denis just dove in on him and went for that takedown, got it, and got a rear naked choke relatively quick and got the finish here. Good for him. After that first performance, that guy is like one tough son of a bitch, by the way. Go back and watch his first fight in the UFC against Leju Solecki dos Santos. Holy shit. You want to see something funny, or not funny, and kind of gross. This was not from this weekend. This was from the last time that he fought in this very first fight in the UFC. Look at these striking numbers. 149 significant strikes to 67. He took so much damage. If you want to see a guy, you want to see like bully beat down, go watch that fight. It was bad. But we also learned that Denis is tough as shit, and he's going to be hard to put out. So we learned that about him, and it held true this time. A nice short one here. Johnny Munoz taking on Tony Gravely. Munoz was hyped up. He's this great wrestler. He's undefeated, blah, blah, blah. Oh, excuse me. All this stuff about him, not undefeated in MMA, but he was an undefeated wrestler and this and that and whatever. He ended up going for a takedown, and Gravely caught him with this very tight, it wasn't even a hook. He said he was going for an underhook, right? He wasn't throwing a punch. He was throwing his right arm under for an underhook, and it just caught him right on the edge of the chin. And, it's one of those 1 in 1,000, 1 in a million shots that do happen in MMA. And it was the perfect spot, the perfect time, and Munoz just couldn't get his wits about him and, went down, and Gravely followed up with some ground and pound and got the finish there. All right, so let's talk about some more controversy here, and then we'll move forward to some pretty clear fights. But this one, for sure, was controversial. Very controversial, okay? Here's what's interesting about this fight. So both guys, this fight, Jeff Molina ends up getting the split decision here, and this is one of those ones where it went 29-28 in favor of one guy, and then 29-28 in favor of the other guy, and then Manez over here gives it 30-27, right? So based off, if you look at the striking numbers, and that's all, I could understand the confusion, okay? Especially if you look at total strikes. Like this, I don't know what the fuck those were. I watched the fight. Those are not, if you want to count those as strikes, that's fine. But the stuff that Molina was throwing might as well have been blowing him kisses, right? These little pity-pat shots. So let's go over round by round what happened and why I think this was a horrible decision. So Zhalgas Zhumagulov versus Jeff Molina. Both guys were having their moments in that first round. I felt like Zhalgas was getting the better of the grappling and landed a bit more. Okay, I was wrong about landing a bit more, 14-14. Okay, now if you look at total strikes here, he did land, or he landed less. But I felt like his significant strikes, I thought he landed more. I was wrong. He did have control time against the cage, but if you want to look at damage that was done, I felt like it was either even or Zhumagulov did more damage with those significant strikes, okay? And he had the control time, so even if they are on par with each other, you give that one to Zhalgas, okay? And then here in the second round, kind of a similar story, but Molina landed better. So Molina was having success in that round. Zhalgas was landing. But here's the thing. Zhalgas landed a clear, very clear left hook that staggered Molina. Bad. Okay? It hurt him. And it was the most significant strike of the entire fight. So and I wrote down, regardless of total strikes, Zhalgas got the win in that round because he did more immediate damage with that. So if you think those other 6 strikes from Molina, those 6 significant strikes, or these 40 fucking pity-pat bullshit ones did more damage, which they didn't, or they were going to lead to the finish of the fight, which they weren't, even if you want to call it even on here, he also had the grappling advantage, and he had 2 takedowns this time. Okay? So this round was Zhalgas. Right? I gave the first 2 rounds to Zhumagulov. Not Zhamagulov, Zhumagulov. Okay? So I gave him the first 2 rounds, and then Molina in the last round. I think this is pretty clearly Molina's. All right? Molina leading the dance in the last round. It's... it could have been close, but I really didn't think so. There was a little bit of grappling and kind of the same thing where Zhumagulov was trying to slow him down and push him against the fence, and he did a little bit of that, but not enough to put a stamp on this round or necessarily do anything of note to outdo the output that Molina did. Or that Molina put out. And Molina clearly wins this last round. So I had a 29-28 in favor of Zhumagulov. Now, if you want to make an argument that that first round went to Molina, I'll hear it. I'll hear it. I don't agree with it, but I'll hear it. If at some point you want to call that second round for Molina, we got to have a real discussion because the striking wasn't so one-sided as far as numbers go in favor of Molina that one strike wouldn't outdo the damage, the total damage that Molina did. So I can't even entertain that in my head. Round 1, I can entertain, right? Maybe you think Molina landed the better shots in that round, and he did more damage. And I've said before, damage is key. Damage is number 1. So if he did more damage, grappling doesn't matter. So, all right, maybe you gave him 29-28 in favor. So, Saul D'Amato giving it, I think Saul D'Amato is the one who gave it to Molina. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he gave it 29. He gave the 2 rounds to, actually, you know what? Nope. I had to pull that over here. I could probably pull up the scorecards now that I think about it. Bear with me here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We don't need to talk about the scorecards. It doesn't matter. The point is, he freaking, he in my opinion, he didn't win that fight, or it was a 29-28. The guy who gave it 30-27 is off his fucking rocker. That second round is, like, what was he watching? I don't understand. If you don't think a guy being staggered is important in that total damage, like, you're not reading the fucking rules right. We went over this already. Okay, this one was really clear. Although this was fucking annoying. So, Renat Fakhretdinov, it's a fun name to say, against Andreas Michailidis. Andreas here was warned 3 times for grabbing the cage by Mark Smith, then again, and then held onto it nonstop. It was so stupid. He got to cheat like 6 fucking times. Whatever. Renat ended up, I still gave Renat that first round. His pressure was ridiculous. He was able to keep grappling, and I thought, dude, the pace that these guys were on was crazy. So Renat was just nonstop pressuring grappling, and Andreas was doing well in the grappling himself, but he had his moments. But it was a clear round in favor of Renat. I had 10-9. And the second round was even more clear for me for Renat, and then the third round was the clearest of all. So 30-27 in favor of Renat is the correct decision here. 30-26 is acceptable depending on how you grade that last round. So I'm okay with that as well. Good decision, good call, everybody. And then the very first fight on the fight night, Aaron Blanchfield versus J.J. Aldrich. J.J. was ahead on the striking numbers, lots of head clashes, but that round was kind of even in that first round. As far as like damage, I had J.J. ahead. They had her ahead on strikes in that first round. Wow. I thought I thought it was JJ's round because I thought she was ahead on strikes because like I thought they were basically even as far as like the amount of damage they were putting into each strike. So I gave it to her, but no, that first round should have been Blanchfield's. And then Blanchfield was landing good shots in the second round, got a high elbow guillotine standing, and then the submission win. She called out for the winner of Jessica Ive versus Macy Barber, which is happening soon. So that is a really good call out. You usually get what you want. Aaron Blanchfield getting the win here. Good job. Good for her. So she's got 3 wins in a row, one of those wins being against Miranda Maverick, another up-and-comer that people are high on, which is cool. And she's got the win against J.J. Aldrich now. So it's time for her to fight somebody. She's 9-1 in her career. It's time for her to get a step up in competition. This is women's flyweight, though. So, again, did I see anything from her that says she's going to be able to take on Shevchenko or someone in the top 5 here? Maybe. You know, I could see her being competitive here in the top 5. Definitely in the top 15. So maybe she can compete in here. But, you know, being a name, like I said, if you're a name, you're going to get pushed for that title shot really quick. All right, that is it. I spent more time on the prelims than I did on the main card, but that's because there was more controversy. I wasn't actually talking about the fights. So I appreciate y'all. I really do. If you made it this far, obviously you liked something about it, so please hit the like button. And you'll like everything I put out, I promise. Because if you like this, if you watch the prelim video this far, subscribe to the channel. You'll like everything I put out. This was a good example of what I do. I just cover every single fight from a lot of different organizations, and it would mean a lot to me if you subscribe. Appreciate y'all. I really do. If you watch this one and you didn't watch the main card, that's the last video. Go check that one out. If you're not going to watch that and you just watch this, you are a strange individual, but I love you anyway. I really do. And I hope you guys have an amazing week. It means a lot to me. Love y'all.